What's up, y'all? Let's go ahead and just knock the legal out. I am not a doctor. I am not giving medical advice. I am simply telling a story about what I went through when I came off of Effexor and what I wish I would have known. If any of y'all have seen my previous video where I explained the total absolute nightmares that I went through when I came off of Effexor, go on over and check it out. It's 15 minutes of, man, this guy's life sucked at one point in time and now it's better. Okay, so that's one thing I want people to understand, is that your life can get better, but you're gonna have to make it happen. I'm dedicating this video to a guy named Ryan Jarvis. He's a retired Marine. He was on Effexor for 4 years, 150 milligrams, and the VA pulled him off of it, yanked him off cold turkey. When I hear something like that, it makes me think these people clearly have no idea what the withdrawal symptoms of these things are. This guy was already taking this stuff for PTSD, and now they just yank him off of it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I've been trying to help him navigate his way through coming off of this stuff, and it's difficult because, like I say, I am not a doctor. All I do is express what I wish I would have known, okay? And what I learned from when I came off of Effexor, it is extremely difficult. If you think that the lowest dose of 37.5 is a safe stepping stool to walk off of, to be like, oh, hey, I'm gonna come off of Effexor, you're dead wrong. Maybe there's somebody out there who's been on a very short period of time and that it doesn't affect them the way that it affects pretty much everybody that I've ever talked to who has taken this stuff. That is that when you step off of 37.5, which is the lowest milligrams that they make, your world goes into complete disaster mode. I mean, it is, I don't even know how to fully describe it, because it feels like you're sitting in the back of your head watching a wrecking crew come through your life and destroy everything. You can't maintain a job, can't maintain a relationship. I mean, you can't even maintain a conversation. Stuff's horrible. So one of the best compliments that I ever got in my life, I was sitting there, it was roughly, I don't know, 8 or 9 years after me coming off Effexor. And I had started pipelining. That's where I was working for an oil and gas company. We were doing x-rays on the pipes, and we were sitting on hot tap, and we'd been up there all day and just sitting in the truck, and the technician that I was working with sitting over there playing on his phone. I had the flu. I felt like total shit. And John goes, damn, dude, you're a badass. I say, I didn't want to talk about anything. I felt like shit. I said, man, don't even mess with me. I don't feel good. Said, no, dude. Remember the other day you're telling me about you coming off of Effexor and how you got off of it? Said, yeah. I've been sitting over here for like 2 hours, reading story after story of people that can't get off of it. I've only read one other story. One. I've been over here for 2 hours. One other person who was able to get off that shit. And he's got my attention now. Really? Did they write about it? Because I would love to hear. He goes, man, you weren't kidding. All of these people, brain zaps, vertigo, nausea, sensitivity to light. It's been a month and I'm still the same way. And I'm like, I told you, bro. I wasn't kidding, man. It was the fucking second worst thing I've ever been through in my life. So how'd they do it? Seriously, he goes, hold on, let me find it, hold on. I've been over here reading this shit for a while. And he finds it. And this person says, they pretty much wrote a diary of how they came off of Effexor. And I was like, oh my God. The more he talked, the more I wished, holy shit, why didn't my doctor tell me this? Why didn't his reaction of like when I was going to come off and I was at lowest milligram I could be on, he could be like, hey, Jeff, here's what you need to do. Instead of going out and buying some good weed and saying that's the best advice I've got for you, instead, I want you to split your capsules open. That 37.5 milligram capsule has these BBs in there. Say there's 50 of them. And this is what that person did, was they got down to the lowest milligram and they split their capsules open. They counted how many pellets, little small pellets of Effexor were in there. And say there were 50 of them. And what they did was they decided to take 10% a week to start stepping down. So the first week, what they do is they take 10% of the capsule. So if they split it open and there's 50 in there that day, they're going to take 5 out and they're going to seal it back up, take it. Okay. And what they talked about was really most of the time he didn't feel that big of a change chemically in his body. Every now and then he'd realize, oh, hey, I stepped down too quick. And so he'd kind of put a couple more pellets back in there and stretch it out for the next week or 2 weeks until his body got used to it. See, where I just went down to 37.5 milligrams and my doctor's like, that's the lowest milligram you can take, and get some good weed and good fucking luck, right? Didn't say split these things open, calculate how you can decrease your dose so that when you do finally step off, it's not like you're stepping off of the top of the Titanic when that bitch was pointed all the way in the air facing an iceberg, because that's basically what he did. Instead of actually being like, hey man, let's go talk to a carpenter and let's get him to build you the smallest steps that we can get. And that's by splitting that capsule open and counting those pellets. Okay? That is the number one way that I have found for people to safely get off of Effexor, Venlafaxine, or whatever the hell it's called. These drugs are dangerous. And any doctor who tells you, hey, yeah, you're at 150 milligrams, you're good to stop, they should have their medical license removed, revoked, done today. You know what? I learned something not too long ago. What do they call the dude who graduated last in his doctor's school? The guy who graduated the lowest grade. Call that prick doctor. And that's usually who winds up getting a lot of these people who are in these clinics that people show up because they're depressed. They don't know what's going on. They get shoved these pills. They're like, yeah, here, take that. And then they're like, yeah, stop taking them. Sorry, I get emotional about this stuff. Because I was one of those people. I couldn't afford a fancy doctor. I went to these general government doctors, and that's why I got put on Effexor. They didn't care. They're supposed to do checkups, and yes, did they do that? Yeah, they did, but usually it was, let's just up the milligram, and then when I was finally like, I can't take this anymore, well, let's just stop and get you some good weed. And, sorry, I go on forever. If y'all got questions about this, the safest way you can do it, split those capsules open and count those BBs as you reduce your dose. Wait till your body kind of normalizes, then lower that dose again. I don't know what else to tell y'all, but I mean, it's a rough ride, but you can beat this stuff. That was one of the worst experiences of my damn life. So I'm right there with you. If you're stopping, I'm right there with you. Get in that mirror and tell yourself you're a bad motherfucker and you can do anything. Because you need to. You need to do that, because right now you're questioning, am I doing the right thing? You need to get in there and you got to tell yourself it's 30 seconds at a time. 30 seconds at a time. I will beat you. I'm telling you, you can have your life back. Get in front of that mirror and tell yourself, I'm a bad motherfucker. I will win this. I will win this. Go do it right now. Because if you think you will later, you won't. Get your ass up and go do it right now. You can beat this. I promise you. If you need some help, let me know.